Israel had two options: trade prisoners with terrorists or fly 2,500 miles in the dark and storm a foreign airport. They chose option B. 4 Hercules planes, a black Mercedes, and one of the boldest rescues the world had ever seen. But to understand how it got there, we need to go back to June 27, 1976. Air France flight 139, it takes off from Tel Aviv. It's heading to Paris with a stop in Athens. On board, there are 248 passengers and 12 crew. Families, tourists, even kids. Minutes after leaving Athens, 4 hijackers pull out guns and grenades. 2 Palestinians, 2 Germans. They force the pilot to turn the plane south. First, they go to Benghazi, Libya, and then the plane sits on that tarmac for 7 hours. Then they push it even further, all the way to Uganda, straight into Idi Amin's backyard. The passengers are all dragged into an old terminal building at Entebbe, and the hijackers lay it out. They want 53 prisoners freed. 40 are locked up in Israel, 13 more in Germany, France, Switzerland, and Kenya. Plus, they also want a $5 million ransom. To make their point, they give a deadline. Noon, July 4th. If no prisoners are released by this time, people would die. And it's not just the demands. The hijackers, they also start separating people. They collect their passports and then they start checking surnames. If you are Israeli or Jewish, you are pushed to one side. If not, you are put to another side, and eventually you are released. Survivors, they later said that it felt like a Nazi-style selection. The French crew, led by Captain Michel Bacos, they refused to leave. They stayed with their passengers. By the end, about 105 hostages were left. Almost all of them were Israeli or Jewish. That's the setup when Idi Amin strolls in, smiling for the cameras. He calls himself a mediator. So what does Israel do? On the outside, they act like they are negotiating, but behind the scenes, they are planning one of the most daring rescues in history. First, they get building blueprints from an Israeli firm that had built the terminals years before. Then they debrief released hostages for details. They even send a small plane to secretly snap photos over Entebbe. Then they rehearse the raid with a mock-up terminal and even practice with a black Mercedes. And one country quietly steps in, Kenya. Without Kenya's permission to refuel in Nairobi, this mission would have been impossible. By July 3rd, 4 C-130 Hercules transport planes are in the air. They are flying low over the Red Sea so that no one picks them up on a radar. On board, around 100 Israeli commandos. Their commander, Lieutenant Colonel Yonatan Yoni Netanyahu. They land in Uganda just before midnight. First off the plane, a black Mercedes and Land Rover, painted up to look like, they made it look like Amin's motorcade. For a moment, the Ugandan guards are fooled. But one notices, wait, Amin's car is supposed to be white, not black. Shots are fired. Alarm goes off. The Israelis, they sprint for the terminal. Within minutes, the hostages hear gunfire, explosions. Soldiers shout in Hebrew and English, "Get down, we are Israeli soldiers." All the hijackers are gunned down. But 3 hostages don't make it. They were caught in the crossfire, likely from friendly fire. Outside, Ugandan soldiers, they start shooting from the control tower. Yoni Netanyahu is hit and it is fatal. He's the only Israeli commando killed that night. His men carry him back to the plane under fire. Meanwhile, Israeli teams, they blow up 11 Ugandan fighter jets sitting on the runway, making sure that no one can chase them. By 11:59, less than an hour after landing, the planes are lifting off with 102 rescued hostages on board. They refuel in Nairobi, and by morning, they are back in Israel. A nation that had been counting the minutes, so scared, they erupt in celebration. But here's what really happened. Released hostages, they later told the New York Times that Ugandan soldiers, they were guarding them side by side with the hijackers. IDF records confirm it wasn't just the hijackers that were firing during the raid. Ugandan soldiers, they started shooting from the control tower. But not everybody made it. Dora Block, the elderly woman that was left in Kampala, she was in a Kampala hospital. She never came home. Ugandan soldiers, they murdered her that same day. Her body was only found years later after Amin was overthrown. Entebbe, it became a turning point. For Israel, it was proof that they would go to the ends of the earth for their people. For Idi Amin, it was humiliation. His air force was destroyed. His myth of strength was shattered. 3 years later, his regime collapsed. So in 1976, Israel sent soldiers thousands of miles across Africa to bring their people home. If the same thing happened today, would any country dare try it? Some call Entebbe the greatest rescue mission ever. Others say it was blood, politics, and international law broken. Almost 50 years later, the debate has not ended. So where do you stand? Thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please follow me. I tell these stories all the time. This story was actually requested by one of my subscribers. Thank you so much. When my subscribers request videos, they go to the top of my list. I take requests from everybody, but my subscribers, this is an announcement for you guys. Your requests go to the top of the list for me. Thank you. Thank you.